Hello, everybody. I hope you are going to join me here today for some Halloween features. This is the full week leading up to Halloween. Obviously, next week would have been a little bit closer, but then these specials would have been in November, and you'll have moved on to listening to Christmas music by that point. So we decided this week was the week to feature our Halloween games. So we're pretty excited. As always, I always like to pick out some of my favorites, and I really like Halloween, and the part I like is on the little bit more subtle, spooky side, things that are a little bit creepy without being quite so monster heavy. So you might not see as many monster games as you're used to seeing in some Halloween packages, but I'm bringing you some family games and some older games that are a little bit spookier and a little bit on the lighter Halloween side, because otherwise I get scared. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. I'll be keeping my eye on it a little bit throughout, and let's get started. So the first game I want to talk today about is called Zombie Kids. Now this is one I do not have open to show you because it is a legacy game for children, for families, and cooperative. So if you are not familiar with cooperative games, it means everyone's playing together against the game, and the game is trying to beat you. And if you're not familiar with legacy games, that means every time you play the game, you're going to be scoring towards like a larger meta game that you're playing with the box. I believe it's like 40 games that you'd play for before you've finished all of them, and then even after that you can keep playing. You just won't have any more changes to add. But there are stickers and a book that you're going to keep a record of your wins, and you can cover up how many times you win with these little brain stickers because they're zombies. And you'll get little rewards for completing certain missions, and there's a chart of missions that you can attack and go after that help you focus maybe on something different in each game. But like a lot of legacy games, if you're familiar with them, you also get to open envelopes, which are going to add components to the game and change it up. What the game is fairly basic. It's a school, and there's going to be a die that you roll at the start of your turn, which adds a zombie to one of the schoolrooms, and then you are going to be able to move one space. And if you move into a space with one or two zombies, you can just attack them and remove them, and they go back out. Once a room has 3 zombies, it's locked and no one can go in there. Anyone that's in there has to get out, and that's bad because you want more zombies out, because as soon as there's not enough zombies to put out on the board, the zombies would win. They have overwhelmed your school. So you need to go into the little rooms, removing zombies, trying to get the exits that are on the corners there locked off. Once you clear out the zombies and lock it up and lock all the doors and get out, you'll be free from the zombies and win. But the envelopes that you get in the legacy portion is going to add some abilities and things to your characters. You can name them, put them in your book, make it very personal. Each game is fairly straightforward and quick, so it works really well. I think they say ages like 8+, but I think, even younger, 7. But I'm sure gaming families can go younger than that. So it's not too scary. The zombies aren't really... They're just a little bit cartoony and not overly scary, but perfect for this Halloween season family fun. You can play with as few as 2 people, so even if you're locked away at home with not too many family members, it's still a good one to play with just 2, which is good because some of these I have are for larger families or people who've got kind of a gaming bubble. Next up, I have Skull. Now this is a game of I have a picture I can show you actually, so let's take a peek. That is not the picture. There's the picture. Okay, Skull. And this it comes with 4 coasters for each color, up to 6 players. You do really want a larger family to be able to play this, and it's a little bit of a Day of the Dead celebration here with the art, rather than just purely Halloween. So I guess November 1st, that'll still be within the next couple weeks, and it's a bit of a bluffing game. So if you've played things like Liar's Dice and other games like that, where you are trying to figure out what's on the table, guess, and then maybe bluff to trick someone else. So you're flipping down, face down, your coaster tiles in front of you, and as soon as everybody's put one coaster in front of them, then you have a choice. You can say, okay, I think there's 1 or 2 skulls among those upside down coasters. The rest would be flowers. The majority of the tiles each person has is flowers, and somebody else can outbid you. You can go around the table bidding each other up until somebody decides they want to pass. They can't outbid that, and then they have to prove it. First, you flip over your own coaster, all of the ones in front of you, and then you can choose from the piles of your friends. And if you can successfully flip over how many you bid without coming across a skull, you'll get rewarded and be able to flip your main, I guess it's also a coaster, the square coaster. And if you can flip it 2 times without losing, getting out of the game by losing all of your tiles, you would win. Now, if you had flipped over a skull, however, you're going to shuffle up your coasters and remove one randomly, which might be your skull, but your opponents don't necessarily know that. Now you can bluff. You can play your own skull down onto the board in front of you, and then start the bidding and say, oh, I think I can flip over 2, but you have to flip over yours first. You're hoping someone else will outbid you and think, oh, well, then they must not have put down the skull, which in fact you have. So it's a little bit of, I think you did this, you did that, back and forth. Rather hilarious, and they're all really quite pretty. The picture was from our store library copy, which we've had for years, and it has been much loved and a little bit beat up. So they come with a little more pristine edges on there, but it has been played hundreds of times, and it's still holding up really well. All right, the next one I want to show you is Welcome to expansion. That's specifically for Halloween. So I haven't talked about it on here, but you might be familiar with the game. It is a flip and write, where you are flipping over cards that have a symbol and a number, and then you're choosing a house in your housing estates to write that number in and then take the symbol's action, be it drawing fences, which you want to do to group little areas on your board together to make zones, like little forget the exact name, but you want to make little groups of houses, and maybe fill in a pool or bump up a number that's on the card to a different number because it's not one that fits, because you have to do them in order. So on each row they have to go from low to high, and so as the game goes on, it gets harder and harder to fit a number. So if we don't flip 12, and that's the only number that can fit there because you have an 11 and a 13, you're going to have to maybe use a help to bump it up or down. So that's general Welcome to. Looks a little different. This is a specific Halloween board, and you can see there's some ghosts and candy corn. And so it adds in a special little element, different ways to score. So for this one, if you're collecting a house and it happens to have either candy corn or a ghost on it, you choose between one or the other. You circle it, and then if you get a 4 ghosts, 6 ghosts, or 9 ghosts, you can take a special treat. So you play that trick, and you're able to get sorry, not a treat, it's a trick, it's a ghost, obviously. The treat is the candy corn. So you play the trick, and you get to take a special bonus, like adding a pool or parks, which you're getting from the base game, if you're familiar with those rules. Otherwise, if you're collecting candy, whoever is the first to get 4 can claim 5 points, or 6 they get 10 points, or 9 they get 15, but you can't, you can only claim 1. So if you decide, oh, I'm gonna pass by that lower one, someone else can beat you to the top, and then you have wasted the points that you might have gotten at the lower amount. So that's the Halloween board for Welcome to. Now I'm obligated to share with you the Outbreak, which is a little more monstery zombie. You can see I have not opened it because I was not tempted to play, or obsessed with perhaps looking at it because it's not cute and doesn't have ghosts and candy corn. But this one, you are being attacked by zombies, and the zombies are going to try to take over your lovely little neighborhood, and you're going to want to collect bullets to be able to fire at the zombies along the row, or get barricades that you can set up to stop them from invading parts of your neighborhood. So that is the slightly more scary version of Welcome to for this spooky Halloween season. Each of the little expansions that you get comes with not only the new sheets and pads that you write on, but as well you get 3 new scoring cards that you can add into your game when you play, that make it very specific to the Halloween module. And again, these are expansions. You need the base game in order to play. Oh, right. I do have some prices for you. This week, I forgot last, but the zombie kits is $22.99. The exit or the welcome tos are $9.95 for the expansions. You have to get the base game, of course. And Skull, because I did that one already, is $24.99. Okay, so moving on, I have a lovely game called Ghost Blitz, and this one I do have a picture for again. Oh, you're just so excited to wait here for this picture. Maybe not. So, Ghost Blitz. This is a game that's been around for quite some time, as long as I've been at Blue Highway, probably longer, which is like 13 years. 13. It's a good number. And it is a speed game. Now, I have had many coworkers that are very good at this. I am not quite as good at this, but you are going to have these little three-dimensional wooden features, such as a ghost, phantom. I believe his name is Baldwin. Baldwin the ghost, because he's bald. I don't know. You've got a green bottle, a red chair, a white ghost, a gray mouse, and a blue book. Now, these are the things that would get set out into the center of the table. So think spoons. Think jungle speed. The kind of games where you are trying to reach for and grab a piece before your opponent and be quick on the draw. So there's a card that will be flipped over. And this is the one I gave in the example I posted on social media. Because what you're looking for is the one piece that is not represented either by shape, the image, ghost in a chair, or color, green and blue. So we have blue and a chair, so it's not going to be the book or the chair. And we have green and a ghost, so it's not going to be a bottle or the ghost, so it's clearly the mouse. So the first person to realize it's the mouse, reaching to the table, grabbing the mouse, stabbing all their fingers into each other, and grabbing it will win that card for the round. Now, if there is something like this where you say, oh, well, it's a red and mouse, so it's not the chair or the mouse, and it's but wait, where's the blue? Where's the ghost represented? It's not, because there's actually a green bottle. Now, if the object is actually on there, instead of grabbing the one that isn't, you have to grab the one that is, but it gets tricky because you're so used to looking at all of them. So like this one, you would grab the ghost because it's a white ghost, and so on and so forth. So for this one, see if you can get this one, it is a white chair, green book, so it is the gray mouse. I think I'm clearly not very good at this, but kids can be great at it. Lots of my coworkers and other adults are great at it. There's even a second, harder, more advanced version, which is whenever the book is present, whether the book is the answer or not, instead of grabbing it, you have to remember instead to say it. So instead of grabbing it, you would have to go mouse. And if somebody messes up, which is easy to do when you get onto that harder level. And then Ghost Blitz 2, which we have in store, it also adds in different languages that you have to learn to say all of the creatures in, and that makes it even harder if you're playing with the Italian version. It is actually a ton of fun. I'm just not very good at it, but I'm up for playing it whenever. We've had it for years, and it is a wonderful little family game. You can do it on your own for practice, but you can do it 2 to 8 players, so it's also one that's good with slightly smaller groups that are at home. And that one is $19.95, and I believe we have it as well as Ghost Blitz 2, which again adds in some more depth. All right, then I'm going to talk about the exit games, which again I'm not going to open because what they are, not legacy, but they're one-time use escape rooms that you can do at home. And you're probably familiar with escape rooms. If you're not, you get to go to a place and during before times, and you go and try to solve the mysteries to figure out the way out in a certain amount of time. And since we can't go out into the world and have fun, you can bring it into your home and do these on your own. You can do them with up to however many people you want to sit around. They say 4, but you can do 5. And it starts out with a very basic premise. Flip over a card, kind of get some directions. There'll be puzzles. There's a booklet that comes with them. They're very differently themed. I chose 2 that are particularly Halloween-y, the Forbidden Castle and Sinister Mansion. They're all a little bit spooky, but some are like scientific or underwater, more sciencey. These are a little more spooky, and you're trying to race against the clock, but you don't really get penalties. There's no, like, you don't have to stop playing at a certain point. You can keep going and solve the puzzles, which is what I really like about them. It gets your brain going. There's some clever things, but when you are done, you may have beaten up some of the pieces in this, and you won't be able to play it again. Your friends won't be able to play it again, but for the price of $14.99, it's a whole evening's worth of entertainment. Usually they say 2 hours. I suppose if you're really smart and clever, it'll be under that. I'm usually longer than that, but I don't care because I'm having fun. So it's an evening worth of entertainment for you and the whole family, and the whole series is part of our Friday features this week. Okay, so those are the first ones I have to show you. Then I have one that is going to be a little bit more of a feature here, is the Scooby Doo Betrayal at Mystery Mansion. I don't know how many of you have played Betrayal at House on the Hill, which is a older game from Avalon Hill and Wizards of the Coast, where you go into a house, you start exploring in and out of the house, and at some point somebody's going to go a little bit to the dark side, and then they're going to become the Haunter. You can see there's 2 books at the top there, The Secrets of Survival and The Monsters Tome. This game emulates those. It makes it a little bit simpler, a little bit more straightforward. There's they give you a little, if you're familiar with it, when you open the rulebook, it kind of just breaks down the differences for you. But it's to help younger players or newer players, and I really like that because you just get into the game even faster. I mean, Betrayal at House on the Hill wasn't even that complicated, but this makes it even more straightforward. Like, there's no, for those familiar, there's no haunt matrix. The setup for the haunt happens everybody together. You can stay in the same room and read it, especially for younger players. For slightly older, you can still do the separate. One person who is the monster goes in the other room while the rest of the gang sets up the haunted house. Damage is general. There's no physical, mental damage. Players aren't eliminated from the game, which is huge, because that'd be sad if you're playing with your family and then you have to go read in your room and want to play games. But so nobody's limited. They just have to, after they're stunned, like in the cartoon, like frozen, for a whole turn, and they won't get to do anything, and then they come back healed up. And there's the omens they have the mystery gang doesn't know what an omen is. They're hungry for clues. This is the Mystery Inc. and Scooby Doo. So there's a few differences. Let me take a closer look. I've got it set up here. Obviously I'm not gonna play the whole game, but I just kind of want to show you a few things up close before we wrap up. But you're going to start with the mystery machine is outside. It pulls into the, let's see if I can get that closer. It pulls up to the haunted house, which is just a little entrance. And on your turn, you're all going to start here. I'm going to have Daphne. I want to be Daphne. I actually even came up with a Daphne costume here for our live stream today, but it was cuter in my mind, so decided to go with the blue highway shirt instead. And we're going to have Scooby-Doo. And on a turn, you're going to move. Now, your movement is determined by your player hex that you have here. So if I'm Daphne, and I take a look here, right now my move is speed. So it's how fast you can go. Like that. And so I'd be able to move like 7 spaces. But as the game goes on, you may have to adjust that and lose them. So maybe it's at here. I'm at 2. So I'm only able to move 2 spaces. However, right now, there aren't any rooms. But as the board is filling up with rooms, you'll be able to move through multiple spaces. So right now, I'd have to choose to add a tile to the outside, which is right around the mystery machine, or a tile to the inside. Let's say I want to go to the inside. These two are separated. You'll never be able to connect them here with a tile. When you're not showing this on camera, you'd want them maybe farther apart, but I'm going to decide to go inside, and I'm going to add a tile. I could continue moving through tiles if they were face up. Well, that's an outside tile. Clearly, I want to do an inside tile. You have to line it up with one of the doors in the room that you're standing in. And later, you may find that you're blocking other doors by how it's laid out. It doesn't matter as long as you're matching to the one that you're just placing. Then you would move into that room. Your movement would end even though her movement speed was maybe higher, like at 3 or 4 or 5. Once you flip over a new tile, your movement ends. But you're going to look and read out what's on that card. So the office heroes who discover this tile immediately gain 1 brains or 1 speed before drawing an event card. So that's great. I could add that to my board. That's how they go up and down. And I would add that to there, and I would also grab an event card because that symbol on there matches the one on the event deck, and I would go ahead and read that out. So the never-ending closet in this office. What's in here? Looks like an endless tunnel. I would roll 2 die. So it tells me how many I roll here. And then however many pips I get corresponds to the card, and then something happens. So I would draw an item card. If I had rolled 0, I'd place myself on the entrance and lose a courage because I got scared in the never-ending closet. Just thematic things are going to happen that really harken back to the show, which I think is adorable. And then 3 to 4 would have been better. I could place myself on any tile through this closet. But I drew an item card. So this would get buried under the deck, and draw myself an item card, which is a vase and jinkies, which is, you know, great because I'm Daphne. Oh no, I say jeepers a lot. This is heavier than it looks. It must be valuable. On my turn, I may take 2 Scooby snacks. If I do, I get to bury this card. Now, the Scooby snacks are these little guys. I can hold so many of them on my card. And Scooby snacks can be used on my turn for helping with rolls. So if I'm like, I don't like that roll, I can choose to spend the Scooby snack in order to re-roll any 1 die. I don't know if you can see that in there real close. Yes. So there's certain things that I can do on my turn. Every player has their own advantage. I cannot move this and the camera will stay focused, and you'll be able to read that it says give once per turn. You may give an item, clue, or Scooby snack to another hero on your tile, or take, I may take the same things from a willing hero. So I'm not going to steal from the heroes that are out there. And then it would go over to Scooby's turn, and Scooby's going to do the same thing, except he's going to explore on the outside. So he's going to turn over the riverboat tile. And he can orient that how he wants to get it to match up on the outside the paths. He reads it up. Riverboat. Heroes may take 1 Scooby snack if they end their turn here, and then it's also another event tile. I would roll hole in the ground. Watch out, it might be a trap. Make a might roll. Now might rolls correspond to where you are here and wherever your little marker is pointing at. So if this was at 3, let's say 4 on the might, they cover the words, but if it's on 4 there, I would roll 4 die. And then I would look at the number of pips I rolled, so I got a 5. I would take 3 Scooby snacks. So it was great. It was a good hole to fall into the ground. And then I would take this and I bury it back in the deck. And so on and so forth. And we continue to explore, and sometimes we come across clues. Now, if ever the clues, when you have 1 clue card, you're going to roll 1 die. Clues are things like treasure chest. You hear a strange thump inside. When you draw this from the clue deck, immediately draw an item card to see what is inside the treasure chest. So I would do that first. An electric magnet. Items are things that you can place in front of you and keep until you want to spend them. And then I would roll 1 die. Now, when I have rolled 5 or more, so it can't happen until you have your 3rd clue card in the game, then the haunt begins. And this is where the game is so much like it's a family of games and so interesting as you start the game with 1 of these cards. So before the game starts, you kind of go with the theme-ish. And then once you do, so let's say we did the Case of Magical Mayhem, and the clue card I turned over that triggered it was the treasure card. I would look on here and say, oh, the treasure chest triggers haunt number 1. So I don't want to reveal anything or ruin any of the surprises, so I won't really show you, but There's the Monster's Tome and the Secrets of Survival. So everybody would take a look at number 1, especially if you're playing the very easy version, and you're going to read this first section. It's going to change up the game. Now, unlike the other games, somebody at this point who triggered it, they're the ones that have to play the ghost or the monster. This version, you can choose. Your opponents, your group is all going to decide together. If nobody wants to do it, then it is the person that caused the haunt to happen. But if there's more than one person, whoever caused it to happen can kind of decide or go around in turn order. They're going to take the separate book, and again, I don't really want to show you, but they're going to go read the super secret text. And they're going to have some things to look out for. And it's going to tell them how they're going to function in the game. And it tells them what they need to do in order to win. Just like the big group over here is going to tell them their mission and how to play, the different things that you could do on your turn, and then what will trigger the end. It also gives you some new items, which I don't think you can really see on the screen here, but I'll pull up. There's a whole bunch of items that you just kind of leave off to the side until you get to your haunt, and then it will tell you exactly which of those objects will come into play. For haunt 1, for example, you're going to be the witch, but you're also going to have a zombie henchman that's going to go around with you. They're both going to be able to take actions, and this riverboat tile is actually, for this first haunt, I don't want to give too much away, but it's kind of neat so you can see the different varieties. It's going to have water on it. And as the witch, I want to drain the swamp before, I don't want to give it all away, but you want to drain the swamp and stuff. That's already too much information, but there's lots of them in the book, so just forget that. But there's a whole bunch of mysteries in here. I think there's, 25 different ones. If you play through all 25 and then go back and meet up with some of the ones you've already done, you probably will forget what is going on, because that's half the fun in the more advanced way where someone separates out and goes to learn the game on their own, and so you don't really know what they're doing and you have to kind of figure that out as they play. But they also don't necessarily know how you're trying to prevent them or what special actions you can take in order to stop them as the rest of the gang. So it's a slightly more streamlined version of Betrayal at House on the Hill. I don't know, there's like 80 movies with the same, like, The Haunting, The Haunted, The House on Haunted Hill. One of those is the name of the base game. This is Betrayal at Mystery Mansion, because of course this is the Clue, Mystery Inc., and they're all trying to pull the sheet off the ghost and reveal that it is the next door neighbor who's really bitter they can't build an oil rig and drill for oil or something. And you as teenagers have to save the day. So that is also going to be part of our feature this week. It is normally $34.99, so it comes with quite a bit in the box. All of these games this week are going to be 13% off for Halloween, because it's a good Halloween number. And that starts this afternoon and goes all the way till next Thursday, right before Halloween. So October 29? No, yeah, I think it's 29. Before we do some new features a week from now. I also wanted to just say thank you very much to all of you who are continuing to support us during this time. We're moving into the holiday season. We are not going to be able to have a crowded, busy store this year, so we'll keep an eye out for some ways that we're going to try to ease the crowd so you can still shop local and support us and keep Blue Highway running for years to come. We couldn't do it without you, so thank you very much for your support and continuing to shop local here in Seattle. Again, you're welcome to come in store. We're limiting the number of people in there, and you need to wear a mask, as well as curbside pickup if you still don't want to come in, and we are doing lots of delivery off of our website. We do have jigsaw puzzles up there as they come in, and soon holiday puzzles will be showing up. So thank you very much, and have a wonderful week.